visuals of inside the Patiala Court that we've now put on, where we can see Yasin Malik being taken into the courtroom amidst a very, very heavy bandobast.
यासिन कुछ कहेंगे
यासिन तो देखिए कोर्टरूम की तस्वीरें बाहर की हम शाबाश देखिए यासिन मलिक को लाया जा रहा है कोर्ट में शाबाश.
So Yasin Malik not saying anything, even though the waiting media there asked him, Yasin Malik kuch kahenge, he didn't say anything, but his counsel has said that he is a follower of Gandhi and that he's not involved in any act of terror in 28 years. But in 2016, 2017, he has pled guilty for an act of terror funding and also backing acts which cause terror, fomented terror. Now, with the UAPA Act amendments, any act that also results in the loss of lives, directly or indirectly, also holds you culpable, Arunima. So that is something which the UAPA amendment which was brought in now says that if you commit an act because of which directly, indirectly, you are responsible for the loss of lives or creating a situation of public order which leads to the loss of lives, then you will be held equally culpable.
Section 16, that is what NIA is underlining in the court. That's what prosecutors said, that this is Section 16 UAPA read with 120B of IPC. So you might argue that I myself did not go drop a bomb, I myself did not pick up the rifle or the pistol, but the fact that you were in a criminal conspiracy with Bitta Karate, with Hafiz Saeed, with Syed Salahuddin, with the other stone pelters makes you equally culpable. That is the line that NIA is taking. That's why they are insisting that the maximum punishment must be given to Yasin Malik, but the counsel who was representing him has said that, this is a terror conspiracy case, this is a case of terror financing, and therefore the lesser punishment of life term be given. Of course, as far as the Kashmiri Pandit community is concerned, those who have been victims of Yasin Malik's terrorism is concerned, they don't understand legalese, and I completely understand why they are looking for this to be, a starting point, so to say, of ensuring accountability. But we'll have to wait and see what the judge thinks.
But Nirmalji is very clear. Nirmalji, when she was speaking, she said that he is a man who, along with his supporters, railed 28 bullets, and a lot of them magazines, an entire magazine was emptied from behind him. That's what I've seen, and they danced on his dead body. They danced on his dead body, and I witnessed that. But she says, in my case, I want khoon ka badla khoon, in my case. But she says this is a case of terror funding, and that's why she said the court will decide in terror funding what the culpability is. But if it's an act of desdroh, then what will be the minimum punishment you'll give to somebody who pleads guilty? She was very clear that he has pled guilty so that the quantum of sentence can be reduced. So she is going to continue to fight and pursue his case, because Yasin Malik will be brought on all the other charges where the legal process has gone on for more than 3 decades now. But in this case, if there is capital punishment, will it be a first, Arunima?
In a case of terror financing, yes, it will be. And the very fact that this is a terror financing case which NIA has brought to this stage, and I have been speaking to the top officers of the investigating agency, that itself is a huge booster for them, because it is not easy to investigate a case of terror financing. Essentially, what has NIA established? That ISI gave money to Hafiz Saeed, it gave money to Syed Salahuddin. That money was then brought to traders who were using the cross-LOC trade route and showing this as a confidence-building measure between India and Pakistan. That confidence-building measure was actually turned into a terror financing route. Zahur Watali is one of those businessmen who has been named. So from ISI to Lashkar to Zahur Watali and to the other businessmen, the money came. They then ensured that the money went to people who called themselves joint leadership, joint resistance leadership. Yasin Malik was one of them. Shabir Shah was another. The money went to them, and then they paid the stone pelters, young boys of Jammu and Kashmir who should have been going to schools and colleges trying to secure their future. Their schools were burned down. The government offices where their parents possibly could have had a role to play in bringing their future together, those buildings were burned down, and they were given stones to pelt at our security personnel. That is the role that NIA has established, and that is the role to which Yasin Malik has played guilty. What is it that the judge thinks is the maximum punishment? That is what we are waiting to know right now.
Well, so we're waiting for Judge Parveen Singh to get into the courtroom and preside over matters. So he's not yet entered the courtroom yet, but Yasin Malik is inside the courtroom amidst heavy security bandobast. In fact, there are the whole place is full of only police personnel. Even waiting media has not been able to go in. Yasin Malik seen in those pictures there as he's being brought in amidst very strong bandobast, because there are many who believe that there could have been an effort to try and commit some act at this point at the courtroom in Delhi itself, and there was a perceptible threat of security threat. But at this point, he is inside the courtroom waiting for Judge Parveen Singh to preside and then pronounce the order. Well, yes.
I just wanted to give you one fact. On the last date of hearing, when the conviction happened, Praveen Singh, the special NIA judge, had actually told NIA to assess Yasin Malik's finances. And that dossier has also been submitted by the NIA. Those documents have been given. Yasin Malik himself was also asked about his financial situation. That could factor in whether he's given death or life. Who are the people who are dependent on him? What are his liabilities? What are his assets? All of that could also play a role. So the confirmation that I have is that that assessment has been done and NIA has handed over the dossier.
Yeah, but does that dossier come into play if the quantum is capital punishment? If the pronouncement is capital punishment or sentence to life, then how does that dossier come into play? Is there going to be a separate penalty that will be charged on his estate, that he will have to make good from his estate the losses that have been incurred because of what he funded and what he financed?
See, UAP again, section 16, 17, 18, 20 also makes a mention of fine. You can be given a punishment, but along with that, you can also be asked to pay a fine. So perhaps Judge Praveen Singh in his wisdom thought that this was required, and that is why he asked NIA to assess the financial status of Yasin Malik. We'll have to wait and see how this particular information plays out when the final order is written.
No,
but this has been submitted is what
true,
I can confirm.
but let's go back to the fact that if he is one of the first of the mega culpable who were stoking unrest in Jammu and Kashmir, and who were the proxies, Pak proxies. So there is Asya Andrabi, there is Zahur Watali, there are the others who are involved, Bitta Karate, and some of the others, many of the others who are involved. The quantum of sentence and the pronouncement of sentence manner, will this then set the template for what is going to be or what can be expected for the others?
Well, again, I put this question to the NIA officers that do they feel confident if they have charge sheeted 10 accused and one pleads guilty to the charge sheet, do the NIA officers then feel confident that the other 9 could also be convicted? To that, they said that of course it will be an advantage because he's a co-conspirator. Section 120B of IPC has been mentioned there. There is a common conspiracy that has been hatched. If one of the conspirators is accepting that yes, the charges are correct, of course, NIA would try and impress upon the judge that the charges are correct. But he is not really a witness of NIA. He has not pleaded guilty at the stage of filing of the charge sheet. He has not said that I will become a witness against the other co-accused. So that's legally the difference between pleading guilty now and pleading guilty at an earlier stage.
Well, on your screens, to the left of your screens is the courtroom visuals, ladies and gentlemen, and in Delhi, to the right of your screens is a small amount of ruckus that was witnessed in Srinagar. This is a standard template where there will be a few of them who will do it. They will pick up and throw some stones at the cops. This was a standard operating procedure, and the camera would be rolling from behind them. They would get somebody from the media there in local media to stand next to them when they would throw these, pelt these stones at the police personnel, and all of them have their faces covered, but it's a minor instance that had happened there. And after that, there have been tear gas shells that have been smoke shells that have been used to try and disperse this small group, which has resorted to a certain amount of minor stone pelting. We're also seeing crowds that have now gathered outside Yasin Malik's residence, but comparatively these numbers are not so large. The bandobast of the police is very strong. There are drones which are also doing an aerial surveillance, clearly seeing who are these people, where are they coming from, and where are they going back to. So even though they have tried to cover their faces, they will be caught, and these elements will be caught. Right now, compared to a time when Yasin Malik, no security personnel could lay a finger on his body or touch a hair on his head, to the time today where he stands in front of in Judge Praveen Singh's courtroom in an NIA court in the national capital.